Hi, I'm Jonathan Barnes, and I'm a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Yes, y'all. It's time once again for another ResultsLeader.fm. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. So glad you're here. And you know what we do around here. We talk to results leaders about their journeys. And today we have Mr. Jonathan Barnes, a proven executive, a business leader, performance coach, technology enthusiast, all around good man of faith. Let's jump in. Jonathan, welcome to the show. Are you ready to do this thing?
Of course, I'm ready, always.
Yes, sir. So let's jump in. Let's give our listeners a quick win. What book have you given most as a gift?
Every Good Endeavor by Tim Keller. It's a great overview of the worldview, the biblical worldview, Christian worldview of work. It's very inspiring, very encouraging to me, and I'll have to give it away as a gift.
Excellent. That's a new one. I'll have to check that out. Story time. Tell us the story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
Sure, happy to. So I was founder and CEO of Staffing as a Mission, a staffing company focused on healthcare IT. And during the pandemic, actually this is recent, during the pandemic, the environment for healthcare IT and basically nurse staffing and all staffing endeavors paused. Everybody was scared about what the implications of the pandemic was. So I had a really difficult decision made by the board of the company to let a lot of people go and ask me to step away to save cash for the company. And that was it felt like a failure, honestly, because I had started the company from scratch, taken on early investors, and I really wanted to see it to the end as CEO. A lot of soul searching in 2020. After that happened, navigated to a fractional executive practice that I'm running now called Work Heartily. And I would say that the success that came out of that failure was understanding that your identity is not just wrapped up in what you do. It's the people you know and who you are, and finding that resilience or exercising that resilience. Yeah, I think the failure was, I left the company I started, I loved from the day-to-day operations. But the success is I've been able to do some other things through a consulting practice and some coaching, and also keeping in touch with that company, and they're actually flourishing. So it's a win on both sides and a lesson learned. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of us get tied into our identity is our work. And I'm curious how you were able to unravel that to allow you to move forward.
I didn't know I needed that. I didn't know I needed to know that. I thought I'm doing this really cool work, working in healthcare, starting my own company. It's so much fun to be with this team. What I didn't realize is the accolades or the success of the team, it was feeding into this becoming my identity. And a lot of people, in fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, how they love to work. And I think in that book I just mentioned, the Every Good Endeavor, well, I think we were created to work. In fact, I know we were. There's work happening first thing in creation. But so we're designed for that. But a lot of times, like every good gift that's out there, a lot of times we just kind of pervert them, right, and make them idols. And so I think that's I don't think that. I should clarify. I know that was happening with me. And I'm very thankful that even though it was extremely painful to get out of that, just see that, what I do as a CEO or what I do as a leader is not who I am. I'm also a friend, a father, a husband. I'm also a colleague. There's all these other ways that you identify, but ultimately, because of my faith in Christ, ultimately my identity is in Him. We turn the great things, and turn them topsy turvy. That you asked me how I was able to figure that out. I got ripped out of the situation, and I didn't want to disagree with the decision, but because I didn't have majority control of the company, I take it on investors. The board decided, and so actually, I think it was providential that I got yanked out of that position and shooken up a little bit. That's how I realized that.
What would you say is the most worthwhile investment that you have ever made?
My wife and I just celebrated 22 years of marriage.
Congrats.
Thank you. That is a very good investment to make. It is also very hard, sometimes very hard and difficult because you got to lay down yourself and think of others before yourself. But I think that's been my most worthwhile investment. And there are times where I've neglected it and paid the consequences for that. Times where I've really poured into it and seen the beautiful things that come out of that. So yeah, investing in your marriage and close relationships is probably what I would say. But for me, it's my marriage.
In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I am not a morning person at all. I could stay up all night if I could. But I've started waking up early about 6 years ago. I started waking up really early, more earlier than I wanted to, and working out. I go to a gym here in Nashville called Iron Tribe Fitness, which is very much like a CrossFit type gym. But what I love about that habit is not just working out. I mean, I like working out. It's 45 minutes. I'm done. I get to lift heavy things off the ground. But it's not that. It's actually the community that I've and accountability. So the habit that I think is really changed is waking up early and going to see somebody that I really loved working out with, or a couple friends that are saying, "Hey, are you going to be there in the morning?" And then keeping accountable with them.
How often do you do that?
Well, I've been doing it for the past 5 years, almost 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, sometimes four. It just depends on how sore I am. And if I really feel like doing it. So yeah, but my friends will text me. We got a group text going on and say, "You need to show up tomorrow. I didn't see you this morning." And you're like, "Okay, you're right."
That helps, right? A little guilt there from the
Oh
friend.
yeah. It's positive guilt, right? Is that a word?
It's for your own good. Come on.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about bad recommendations. What are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
Yeah, so I work a lot with other entrepreneurs and people that are growing their business. And it might not be an entrepreneur, it might just be a leader. Let's just talk about bad advice I've heard with growing your business or taking on money, right? Raising capital. And a lot of advice I hear is just take on as much capital as possible. Don't worry about control of your company because it's 100% of zero is zero still, but 10% of a significant number is going to change your life. That's the rationale. And sometimes that works. But what I hear a lot of bad advice of just not listening to the situation and the desires of the leader and the entrepreneur or founder and just throw money at it. And a lot of times as an entrepreneur or founder, if it's important for them to continue on the mission or the vision that they have, if they lose control of some of their company because of a board or an investor coming in and diluting them, it muddies the water on what the actual mission of the company is. And I've just seen people lose control of their company and then all of a sudden it's not their company anymore. Think of a friend who started a company and he took on investors and they just pushed him out. He was devastated. Some of that happened to me as well. But there's a silver lining, of course. But I think the bad advice is just take on money no matter what. And there are other ways you can do it, whether it's bootstrapping or debt financing or however you want to think through it, convertible notes based on there are certain vehicles you use instead of just taking on a lot of investment money to dilute yourself. Does that answer?
Absolutely. Now we're about to get into your favorite part of the show where we talk about results. But first, I've got to ask you, are you picking up what we're laying down here? I hope so. That's why we do the show every week. And I want to ask you for a little bit of help. If there's someone out there that you think can benefit from this show, why not share it with them? Put it out there, hit the share button, use hashtag ResultsLeaderFM, and get it out there. Now let's jump back into the interview. Jonathan, why do results matter?
Well, I think it goes back to what the vision you have as a business leader. If you're a business leader that truly cares, then as a parent. But I think they matter because what is a business other than it's not just a P&L statement or balance sheet. It's people, the people you work with, their families, their kids. It is pretty much all inclusive, the people that they touch. So all your clients, all your people that want to work with you, all your employees, all the people that used to work with you. You are touching their lives in a huge way. So I think results matter in that you're looking at how are you impacting this family? How are you impacting the lives that you're touching? Whether it's financially, work-life balance, their legacy, all those things matter. I think how you measure results is a big deal. And I like to see when I'm working with a client on the consulting side, I want to see them clarify what that means. What is a result to me? And then think through, okay, well, if that's important to you, what if you want to hit $25 million in revenue, or you want to have 1,800 employees, or whatever it looks like. If that's a result, okay, let's get there. If the result is I want my employees to be happy and I want to retain them, I want their families to be well taken care of. Okay. If it's just your own personal mission, I want a billion lives to be impacted by my business. Okay. That's a result. So we have to define that first and then move forward. But if you don't have that clarity of vision of the results are, what those are, then it becomes this laborious task and not something that gets you out of bed every morning. So that's why they matter. And then how you define them is really important.
In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
There's the adage of you've got two ears and one mouth for a reason. I think always thought about the 80-20 rule of listening versus talking and sales calls and things like that and training I've had in the years past. But over the past 5 years, that has really resonated a lot more with me, staying quiet, asking questions, and listening before you jump to conclusions. So I think leadership is really listening and understanding what to do next, whether it's with client or prospect or your employees.
Come on, man. Can you really make sales just listening?
I said 80-20, remember? So what it is, and I think there's a lot of correlations between sales, consulting, coaching. A lot of that is listening, but then what you do with that is different. So a coaching client would come to me and I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm trying to get them to come to that conclusion themselves. Consulting is more like teaching, like, hey, I'm an expert. I've got expertise in this, whatever this is, sales or technology strategy, whatever it is. And I'm listening to you so that I can make a recommendation and sometimes help you implement that recommendation as a consultant. A salesperson is just trying to get somebody to sign on the dotted line and have their implementation team do the stuff on the back end. You got to be able to have a lot more input, I think. The balance needs to be more on the other person versus you.
I'm sitting here thinking, we went to breakfast, my wife and I, yesterday, and there was somebody selling something. And what I noticed was that she talked for about 40 minutes straight. And I'm like, how could she possibly get a sale? She's not even let them talk. I'm like, how do people do it? But that's like what people believe sales is. And I'm with you. I like consultative kind of selling where I'm asking questions, diagnosing, and trying to be help. And so I like that you clarified the 80-20.
Yeah, the salesperson talking. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all.
It's crazy. Let's talk about your business. What area of your business would you like better results?
That's a great question, actually. My company, Work Heartily, is a fractional executive consulting firm. So it's not full-time consultants like salaried person. It's more part-time. I'd like to think of it as focused and on-demand executives ready to help a team. And what we usually do is work in 5 categories. So sales, marketing, strategy, technology, and operations. And I have experts that I work with that are in that, it's not just me, in all those categories. Some of them have overlap like strategy and technology or marketing and operations, those kind of things. What I like to see more results are just filling out, having a number of different industries represented. A lot of who I work with is technology and healthcare, just based on my background, just my network and who I talk to and who needs the help. But it's a lot of fun to expand outside of that. And so that's, I guess that would be one of as I'm thinking through my 3-year plan at the end of 3 years, so 2025, walking into 2025 with a number of different industries represented with all those 5 categories of executives helping and having engagements with sales, marketing, technology, strategy, and operations.
So which industries are you looking at first? You're already in healthcare, so where else are you moving to?
I've seen a lot of activity just with technology. I know that's very generic, but I'm working with one company in the robotics space. So robotics as a service. So applying the software as a service model coupled with hardware. That's a really interesting company. It's called MyGoat. Automated lawnmowers, robotic automated lawnmowers to manage commercial properties. And so their software actually manages herds of goats, they call them. They call the lawnmowers goats on a subscription basis for multiple acres. So golf courses, cemeteries, airports, places that need a lot of areas mowed. We're working with some parks and recreation, cities as well. Anyway, so I like to see the expansion in other areas. A lot of people, especially in Nashville where I am, technology is synonymous with healthcare, and it doesn't have to be. I really like to see other industries like that represented in some of the work that we're doing at Work Heartily.
Fascinating. What results are you most proud of?
Well, I love seeing clients get through difficult situations and solve issues. One of our Work Heartily clients it was a pretty large physician practice. They made 2 mergers with other smaller but significant physician practices, and they needed to integrate all their systems. And they did that successfully. They hired us to help them kind of wrangle all the different pieces together and coordinate conversations, be the liaison between leadership and the tech teams. And actually, they hired us to implement some of the things directly. So I was really proud to see that actually got done. It was just super cool. That's a success. I'm also really proud of the team that I was able to work with and build at Staffing as a Mission, SAM, the company I started back in 2014. And we got some accolades. We made the Inc. 5000 list the first year eligible, massive growth. At the time that I left, we had about 250 to 300 people working in the field for us, covering 40 something states and 2 Canadian provinces, and just seeing the impact that we had, not only just in the internal staff that was in the office, but also the external field staff. And the fact that they would say, I would interview them and talk to them, at different assignments and say, how's it going? Why did you choose Sam before you choose somebody else? And they would just say, y'all might not pay us as much, and then you might, but the differentiation is how you treat us. When I was there, we established, instead of a human resources department, we established an employee care department. And that was really important to me because the way you use words, it means something, right? So they're employees, okay? And we care for them. So that means obviously the compliance issues and payroll and all that kind of stuff. But it also means, hey, when it's their birthday, we want to know it's their birthday and send them something. Or we want to say thank you for an incredible job you've done and representing us well. It's all those kind of highlights that make the difference. And it's incremental, cumulative, over 1,000 little touch points over time. So I would say I'm most proud of the team there and what they're continuing to do. I'm also really proud of the work I get to do with Work Heartily and our colleagues here. And it's super cool conversations I never would have had I not left SAM. So I'm thankful for all those interactions.
Any parting thoughts you'd like to share with the results leaders who are listening to us right now?
Well, I'll share this. It's important to know your why. A lot of people talk about your why, but I think your results that you're looking for are always coupled with the bigger picture of why you're doing what you're doing. Sometimes a lot of leaders that I know I'm guilty of this myself, is they don't spend a lot of time thinking. They spend a lot of time doing. Do you know? I mean, does that resonate?
We're putting out fires all day long.
Yeah. And so if you have a chance to think, block off time, tell your executive assistant, put it in your calendar. Hey, I'm going to spend this morning in focus time. I don't know if you've read, what is that book? Deep Work. Have you read that book before?
Oh, yeah. Cal Newport.
Cal Newport. Yeah. So, he talks about how long it takes you to even get to that point of deep focused work. And I think we need to, as leaders, we need to build that in for thinking about the business. I was in a men's Bible study recently, and a guy, we're talking about work stuff. And one of the guys there was saying that he has a TATB acronym in block of time in a day and a week. And his boss said, hey, what's this in your calendar? It says TATB. What is that? And he said, oh yeah, that's my think about the business. I think that's really a solid do that. So I think the parting thought would be, don't forget to think about the business and to know why you're doing it. Reconnect with that why on a given basis. Maybe it's a quarterly basis. Maybe it's weekly to think about the business. Maybe it's quarterly to think about the why and reconnect that. There's all these cadences that you can really help yourself so that you don't lose yourself in the middle of the chaos, and you don't lose your identity either. You remember who you are.
Well said, my man. I know people are going to want more from you. Where can they go?
Workheartily.com. That's the easiest way to find me. I'm also on LinkedIn, Jonathan Barnes. I post regularly on LinkedIn, just random thoughts and musings, as they say. But a lot of times I glean those thoughts from conversations I have with consulting clients and coaching clients. And so follow me there. I'm very interactive on LinkedIn platform.
Absolutely. That's how we met. So we have been speaking with Mr. Jonathan Barnes. Thank you for being here. Of course, we'll share links to everything in the show notes. Thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. And remember to block out that TATB time. I just wrote it down and I'm using it. So thank you for that.
You got it. All right. Till next time. Thank you so much for the privilege of doing this. This is great.
Boom. That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.